Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And it is another meditation day. I am going to read today from Melody Beattie's Journey to the Heart, Daily Meditations on the Path to Freeing Your Soul. And it's another one of my favorite meditation books. It's not so much about codependency, it's more just about learning to love yourself more, learning to figure out who you are and what you want and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, there are such fantastic meditations in this book, and I usually just kind of read them and keep them to myself. They're not ones that I talk about on this channel often, and I don't really know why, and so I want to start using this book a little bit more, you know, as well as the Codependent No More book, The Language of Letting Go, because these two together are probably my favorite meditation books of life. I love the Linda Picone one too. These are all listed below if you want to go find these books, but those three are probably my favorite meditation books, the two Melody Beattie ones, and then the Daily Book of Positive Quotations, or the Book of, I don't know what it's called, by Linda Picone. I love that one. Okay, so today's, I started to read it, and then I thought, no, I'm going to save it for a video. And it is December 8th, Don't Pick Up Energy That's Not Yours. And I started reading this, and it's interesting because it reminded me of this quote that my best friend says to me, you know? And she always says, don't dial up pain, which means that, like, you know, like, if you're just kind of like staying in your zone and you're doing your thing and all that kind of stuff, it's like, don't like go and get in other people's business that are like, you know, like, are you one of those people that like has like an attraction to chaos? You know, sometimes like I grew up in chaos, so I have an attraction to that sometimes. And I have to stay out of it. And sometimes I have to just kind of be over here and mind my own business. It's very boring often, you know? But the end result is that I have a life of peace and serenity rather than, you know, always getting involved in all of that. And sometimes I have to stay out of it. And so like my best friend, she said to me for years and years and years, why do you dial up pain? I'll call, you know, like I'll call her or we'll be driving around and I'll be like, oh my God, and this happened and that happened and whatever. And she'll say, this has like nothing to do with you. Why did you dial up pain, you know? So anyway, it kind of reminded me of that when I first started reading this. So December 8th, Don't Pick Up Energy That's Not Yours. I walked in the small town diner and sat down at the counter. I was the only customer, but the waitress ignored me. I waited while she sat in a booth reading the paper. Finally, she lowered the paper. Is there something you want? She barked from across the room. Is there something you want? She barked from across the room. But I wasn't ready to have to do those kind of voices for a peaceful meditation. By the time I left the restaurant, I felt as crabby as the waitress appeared. It took a while to figure out what happened, what had changed my mood. Then I realized I had picked up her negative energy, feelings that had nothing to do with me. It was like someone had splashed my windshield with mud. What a great analogy, right? Most of us have crabby days and an abundance of our own feelings to deal with. We don't need to let others splash their negative energy on us. We don't need to pick it up and carry it around. If someone splashes your windshield with mud while you're driving down the road, what do? You wash it off and go on your way? Learn to tell when what you're feeling is your emotions and your business. Learn to tell when someone has splashed on you. You don't have to take responsibility for what's not yours. Be done with it as quickly as possible. Thoughts are energy. Crabby thoughts and crabby emotions can be like mud. If someone splashes you, wash off your windshield, send them a blessing, and go on down the road. Oh my God, it's such a great meditation, isn't it? And I was just thinking actually while I was reading this, like this is a lesson that I learned about like communicating with my dad years and years ago. So I would call up my dad, right? And it'd be like a Saturday, and I'd be like, something would have happened, right? And I'd be like, Dad, what are you doing? And he'd be like, oh, I'm just sitting here, you know, like reading this book. This book is so great. And I would say, oh, and he'd be like, what's going on with you? And I'd be like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened. And, you know, like I had to go to the BMV today, and I had to wait 2 hours in line, and blah, 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 whatever. And he would silently just sit there and listen to me. And then like when I was kind of like done telling my story after probably 15 minutes or whatever, he would say, so what was it that you wanted from me? And I'm like, I don't know, like I needed to whatever. And he goes, you needed to call me because you wanted me to be in as bad a mood as you are? And I was like, and he said this to me, like this was not just a one-time thing, it was not twice, it was probably 10 or 15 times that I would call him and I would just say like, oh my God, let me tell you like what a horrible day I've had. Which, you know, I think it's okay to vent to our loved ones around us, but to like want them to feel as like enraged and pissed off as we are, like that's not fair, right? It's not fair to expect that other people should feel that strongly. In fact, maybe what we need to do, instead of wanting other people to really understand our pain, is maybe we should probably be pulling some positive positivity from them, you know what I mean? Like, I could have called my dad and just been like, hey, Dad, cheer me up, I've had a shitty day, you know? But instead, what I wanted to do was tell him what my shitty day was and exactly what I was feeling in that moment, and you know? And I think it's like, what's the whole saying? And I don't know the exact quote, so don't quote me on it, but it's like, it takes something like 89 muscles or something like that to frown, but it takes one to smile. And it's like so true. It's like, it's so little effort to be peaceful and serene and positive. It takes a lot of like work to be angry and be bitter about the world and bitter and all that kind of stuff and just miserable, you know? And it's just like, and I think it's so toxic to us is what we don't realize, is that when we are that way, when we're so constantly just like, like, it's really us that we're affecting. It's really not the people around us. So we have to be careful of our own energy, but we also have to really be careful of not picking up the energy of other people, you know? And today, when I encounter a lot of that, I really try to, like in my personal life, if I'm at the gas station or somewhere and somebody, you know, like I said the other day, maybe somebody needs that space more than I do. You know what I mean? I try to be that person. I'm not that person always, but I try to, you know? And like if somebody seems to be down, I like try to cheer them up. Like I was at the gas station last night, and I could just tell this girl did not want to be working there, right? And I was like, this was on my way to going to my brother-in-law's house, and I stopped there. So anyway, she was like, we were kind of chatting, and I could just tell this girl did not want to be there. And I said, has it been a long day? And she said, yeah, and I don't get off till 12. And at the time, it was probably like 8:15. And she goes, yeah, and I don't get off until 12. And I said, oh, and I said, are you just going to go home and sleep? She goes, I'm so exhausted. I've worked 3 days. And she just was like, right? And I go, okay. I said, now you better go home and get some rest. I said, I don't want to see you out at the clubs later. And she started laughing. And I said, good. I said, it was nice to see you smile. She was laughing as I was walking out the door and stuff like that, you know? And I think like to try to bring some positivity to somebody's life, to cheer them up, to make them laugh, to maybe, you know, listen, everybody has down times. Everybody gets sad, you know? And it's like, I don't know why other people are crabby. I don't know why other people are negative. I don't necessarily need to know that, but I don't have to own their energy as my own. I can just walk on by, you know what I mean? And I can also offer some sympathy, some empathy, some compassion and love to those people. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. But, you know, I think it's also about when we hear this and we hear that other people, that we feed off their negativity, I think it's also about looking at our own energy and are we being positive or are we being negative? How are we affecting those people around us, you know? And I would rather be positive instead of, you know, like having people be affected negatively. Wouldn't you? I mean, I think most of us would, right? So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend, staying warm, watching Netflix, all that kind of stuff. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.